Hi everyone, my name is Aaron. I've had the privilege to talk with some of you guys, through the comments and through conversation on the phone, and God bless you guys. For those of you who are suffering right now, I praise God that I could serve you in this way, and this is how I serve God. I believe God wants me to serve in this ministry, and it's primarily because I remember the torment and how God saved me, and I know that God can save you too. So the way you get better, and this is also the way you live the victorious Christian life, is through trusting and resting in God. But you can't do that unless you first surrender to Him. So that's what I want to talk about today. So Luke chapter 9 verse 23, this is Jesus speaking. And He said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. And that's a command. It's in other parts of the Bible too. Like in Matthew, Jesus commands us, if you want to follow Him, we have to deny ourselves and carry our cross. And I mistakenly understood this, before I went through my trial, of taking up my cross as just like a sacrifice I had to make. Maybe I had a bad relationship, like, oh, that's my cross to bear. I had a physical pain, that's my cross to bear, but that is not what it means. Cross represented death back then. This is the times when Romans crucified people, and the audience knew that. And even the English word excruciate, I found out that it comes from the Latin word excruciatos, which means out of the cross. So the cross represents excruciating pain and death. And that is what Jesus is calling us to do. Carry your cross and follow Him. So I want to discuss that. Deny yourself and carry your cross. And I believe that means total surrender. And you have to understand this, like I said, in order to enter that trust in God. Excuse me. So this command, I believe, is supernatural. You can't do it alone. Like when things are going well, I don't think you can enter total surrender. I don't think you'd be able to take up your cross, to deny yourself. That's why I said in my other videos, when you are a Christian and you're going through intense suffering that brings you to the end of yourself, where you're saying, I don't see a way out, and hopelessness sets in, that is a blessing, because God is bringing you to the end of yourself so that you would be able to follow Him. Okay, so have hope in that. God is in control, and He put the circumstance in your life to bring you to the end of yourself, to carry your cross, to teach you how to deny yourself, so that you can follow Him all the days of your life. And basically, denying yourself is denying yourself. Self is what runs a lot of people's lives, a lot of Christians. They live for them. They won't say that, but they do. And it's the person's self's hopes and dreams, their agenda, their comfort, and God is saying, deny it. Okay? And we'll go into just what that means, a total surrender. And only God can bring a person into the situation. I don't think a person can do it on his own. And one thing you have to note here is that once you do enter total surrender with God, you have to stay there. Okay, because here it says, take up His cross daily and follow me. Jesus put in that word daily on purpose. Like sometimes when I feel like I went through surrender, but the next day my fear and anxieties would come back real strong, and I realized I was taking back control. I was being unsurrendered, and I had to will myself to surrender it all over and over again. And this wasn't just daily for me, it was like 15 minutes at a time. But you get used to it, and you go to 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, and you gotta do this daily though. Like Jesus says, you gotta always have a surrender position. Never hold on to anything. Don't hold on to anything tight. Have a very loose grip. God gives and takes away, and that's the position you need to live in. Because I remember when I was going through my hard time, I started finding some relief. And I just kept on surrendering and trusting in God. And I remember I did this for about 2 weeks. Excuse me. And I asked God, Lord, how long must I do this before I can go back to my normal self? And I realized that God was actually going to keep me on this new lifestyle. He was going to teach me to get used to it. And by the grace of God, I got not only just used to it, but totally used to it. That's the way I am now. I live a life depending and trusting in God. Like, I saw clearly that I had no control. I saw my true helplessness. And I know I'm still totally helpless and I have no control over anything. So that's how I live. I live with a loose grip on everything. God can take away and give as he pleases, and I know it's good for me and it's for his glory. So this is further explained in Romans 12:1, where Paul says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. What helped me was imagining myself crawling up on the altar of God, just laying down, saying, God, I check out. I have no more agendas. I have no more hopes in myself, nothing. You do what you want to do. I am a living sacrifice to you. Whether I live or die, I don't even care. You do what you want to do with me my whole life. That's the only way you could give your body as a living sacrifice, as it says in Romans 12:1. And so I want to just kind of walk through what that surrender looks like. And this is from, mainly from what I had to surrender, and it needs to be complete. Okay, so there's going to be other things that you need to surrender that is not on my list here. So I prayerfully ask God to reveal what needs to be surrendered, and he'll show you. So certain things, is like your life. Whether you live or die, it's his responsibility. Surrender it to him. Your health, no matter what happens to your body, is his responsibility. Galatians 2:20 says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. It's his life. He can do what he wants with it. Once you give it, there's no take backs. Okay? You gave yourself, and it's not even your life. So whatever health implications or whatever happens to your life, it's none of your business. It's God's business. He's in control. You have to you have to surrender your comfort. Okay, so that really means accepting all the suffering that God allows. So whether you're going through tinnitus, insomnia, panic attacks, depression, that is, surrendering your comfort to him when you say, God, I accept everything as from your hand. You're using this for my good, and this is your life, your body, your everything. My existence belongs to you, so you can do as you please. So accept everything as from God and thank him for it, because he's using it for all your good. He's using it for your good and his glory. Surrender, your mind. Let him renew your mind, as in the next verse in Romans 12:2. Surrender your money, your material goods, your family and friends, whatever happens to them, however they treat you. Trust God with them. Put them also on the altar and give them as a living sacrifice to God as well. Nothing is in your control. Okay? That's the main theme here. When you surrender, you're letting go of all control. You're giving it up to God. You're surrendering it to God. Surrender your self-image, your respect and reputation. That's a big one. Okay, no matter what people think of you and how you're treated by others, you surrender that to God. It's his life. If people mock you, don't be bothered by it. Okay, it's God's life. When some people really attack you for being a Christian, I hope that doesn't happen, but it's very possible these days. They're mocking Christ in you. Okay, so leave that all to God. You don't need to worry about it. And surrender all your hopes and dreams. Okay, no more what you want to do. No more plans you had, this many years out. Wipe it clean. Clean slate for God. God, you do what you want to do, and you call me home when I'm done. When you're done with what you want to do with me. That's it. Let it all go. No more agendas of your own, even your own ministries if you're in ministry. No plans of your own. Give it to God. So once you're in that surrender state, like I said, you need to stay in that surrender state. And so what do you live off of? Let's say you surrendered your sleep, you surrendered your comfort, your pain and body. Well, when Jesus was tempted out in the desert, he didn't eat for 40 days. And right after, Satan came and said, why don't you just turn these rocks into bread? And Jesus answered, even though he was super hungry, but he answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. I believe this season of your life, when you're suffering like this, God has stripped away your comfort. All the things you thought you needed to survive. He's teaching you to live off his word alone, his promises, his grace. He's teaching you that he is enough. When you don't have enough sleep, you don't have enough, whatever it is that you think you need, and God takes it away, he's saying, I'm going to teach you that my grace is enough for you. My promises and words are all you need. So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, his grace will be served, and it will be enough for you, and you will experience that. When you don't get the sleep that you think you need, his grace will be your sleep. His grace and his promises will be enough. He is teaching you these important lessons in life. How can you learn them just by reading it in a book? But by you actually being filled, being satisfied with his word in lieu of all these things you thought you needed. There's no substitute for that lesson, and you are blessed to go through that right now. So I hope that has showed you a little more clearly on what it means to surrender, and I encourage you to do that today. Especially if you're just at the end of yourself, this is the time. Surrender completely, and when you feel like you can't let go, keep on going to God in prayer and asking him. Dr. Woodward told me, pray, God, I'm willing to be made willing. Okay? Because when you're not willing to give up some of these things, when you're not willing to surrender certain things, what can you do, right? So you're asking God for help even on that. God, I'm willing to be made willing. So yeah, he might have to do something that might hurt a little bit or a lot, but that's the way to freedom. That's the way to live. So ask God to help you to go to total surrender before him. And before I finish, I want to share some encouragement to you. After I came out of the trial, I looked back. It was such a big thing that God did for me, and I knew it. And I knew that he never left me. He was always with me. So I went out looking for art, just hang up on my wall, and I found nothing that displayed anywhere remotely close to what I went through and the reality of how Jesus was with me. In particular, Isaiah 41:13 came to mind on what the reality was during my trial. It says, for I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, I am the one who helps you. And that is true for you right now through your trial. He is holding your right hand. He is holding you. You're holding your right hand, and he's saying, do not be afraid. I'm the one who helps you. So how does this look? So I drew the picture myself. My drawing skills hasn't improved since second grade, so please excuse that, but it gives good representation of what happened. So yeah, that's the verse down there, and that taller person is Jesus, and the shorter person is me, and in this case, you. He is holding your right hand, and you see those little demons with their fiery arrows just striking those lies, causing fear in you. And if you look into the future, you see nothing but storms, tornadoes, lightning, rain, gushing winds, and it's terrifying. But Jesus never left you. He's holding your hand. He's with you. As Isaiah 41:13 says, he's helping you. And if you see that picture in the back, you can't really see it. But that's heaven. And that road leads to heaven. We're going there if you're saved, and he will carry you through. He is faithful. So yeah, I hope this has been a help to you, and let me know if you have any questions or prayer requests, and feel free to contact me as well. I'm willing to, talk with you guys. So God bless you. May you surrender, trust, and rest in God.